Book 9. The Argument. The Embassy to Achilles. Agamemnon, after the last day's defeat, proposes to the Greeks to quit the siege and return to their country. Diomedes opposes this, and Nestor seconds him, praising his wisdom and resolution. He orders the guard to be strengthened and a council summoned to deliberate what measures are to be followed in this emergency. Agamemnon pursues this advice, and Nestor further prevails upon him to send ambassadors to Achilles in order to move him to a reconciliation. Ulysses and Ajax are made choice of, who are accompanied by old Phoenix. They make, each of them, very moving and pressing speeches, but are rejected with roughness by Achilles, who, notwithstanding, retains Phoenix in his tent. The ambassadors return unsuccessfully to the camp, and the troops betake themselves to sleep. This book and the next following take up the space of one night, which is the 27th from the beginning of the poem. The scene lies on the seashore, the station of the Grecian ships. Thus joyful Troy maintained the watch of night, while fear, pale comrade of inglorious flight, and heaven-bred horror on the Grecian part, sat on each face and saddened every heart. As from its cloudy dudgeon issuing forth, a double tempest of the west and north swells o'er the sea from Thracia's frozen shore, heaps waves on waves, and bids the Aegean roar. This way and that the boiling deeps are tossed, such various passions urged the troubled host. Great Agamemnon grieved above the rest. Superior sorrow swelled his royal breast. Himself his orders to the heralds bears, to bid to council all the Grecian peers, but bid in whispers. These surround their chief in solemn sadness and majestic grief. The king amidst the mournful circle rose. Down his wan cheek a briny torrent flows. So silent fountains from a rock's tall head in sable streams soft trickling waters shed. With more than vulgar grief he stood oppressed, words mixed with sighs thus bursting from his breast. Ye sons of Greece, partake your leader's care, fellows in arms and princes of the war. Of partial Jove too justly we complain, and heavenly oracles believed in vain. A safe return was promised to our toils, with conquest honored and enriched with spoils. Now shameful flight alone can save the host, our wealth, our people, and our glory lost. So Jove decrees, almighty Lord of all. Jove, at whose nod whole empires rise or fall, who shakes the feeble props of human trust, and towers and armies humbles to the dust. Haste then, for ever quit these fatal fields, haste to the joys our native country yields. Spread all your canvas, all your oars employ, nor hope the fall of heaven-defended Troy. He said. Deep silence held the Grecian band. Silent, unmoved, in dire dismay they stand, a pensive scene, till Tydeus' warlike son rolled on the king his eyes, and thus begun. When kings advise us to renounce our fame, first let him speak who first has suffered shame. If I oppose thee, prince, thy wrath withhold. The laws of counsel bid my tongue be bold. Thou first and thou alone in fields of fight durst brand my courage and defame my might. Nor from a friend the unkind reproach appeared. The Greeks stood witness, all our army heard. The gods, O chief, from whom our honors spring, the gods have made thee but by halves a king. They gave thee scepters and a wide command. They gave dominion o'er the seas and land. The noblest power that might the world control, they gave thee not, a brave and virtuous soul. Is this a general's voice that would suggest fears like his own to every Grecian breast? Confiding in our want of worth he stands, and if we fly, 'tis what our king commands. Go thou, inglorious, from the embattled plain. Ships thou hast store, and nearest to the main, a noble care to the Grecians shall employ, to combat, conquer, and extirpate Troy. Here Greece shall stay, or if all Greece retire, myself shall stay, till Troy or I expire. Myself and Sthenelus will fight for fame. God bade us fight, and 'twas with God we came. He ceased. The Greeks loud acclamations raise, and voice to voice resounds Tydides' praise. Wise Nestor then his reverend figure reared. He spoke, the host in still attention heard. O truly great, in whom the gods have joined such strength of body with such force of mind. In conduct as in courage you excel, still first to act what you advise so well. These wholesome counsels, which thy wisdom moves, applauding Greece with common voice approves. Kings thou canst blame, a bold but prudent youth, and blame even kings with praise, because with truth. And yet those years that since thy birth have run would hardly style thee Nestor's youngest son. Then let me add what yet remains behind, a thought unfinished in that generous mind. Age bids me speak, nor shall the advice I bring distaste the people or offend the king. Cursed is the man and void of law and right, unworthy property, unworthy light, unfit for public rule or private care, that wretch, that monster who delights in war, whose lust is murder, and whose horrid joy to tear his country and his kind destroy. This night refresh and fortify thy train, between the trench and wall let guards remain. Be that the duty of the young and bold. But thou, O king, to counsel call the old. Great is thy sway, and weighty are thy cares. The high commands must spirit all our wars. With Thracian wines recruit thy honored guests, for happy counsels flow from sober feasts. Wise, weighty counsels aid a state distressed, and such a monarch as can choose the best. See what a blaze from hostile tents aspires, how near our fleet approach the Trojan fires. Who can, unmoved, behold the dreadful light? What eye beholds them, and can close tonight? This dreadful interval determines all. Tomorrow Troy must flame, or Greece must fall. Thus spoke the hoary sage, the rest obey. Swift through the gates the guards direct their way. His son was first to pass the lofty mound, the generous Thrasimede, in arms renowned. Next him Aesculapius, Iliad stood, the double offspring of the warrior god. Deipyrus, Apharius, Marion joined, and Lycomed of Creon's noble line. 7 were the leaders of the knightly bands, and each bold chief 100 spears commands. The fires they light, to short repast they fall. Some line the trench, and others man the wall. The king of men, on public councils bent, convened the princes in his ample tent. Each seized a portion of the kingly feast, but stayed his hand when thirst and hunger ceased. Then Nestor spoke, for wisdom long approved, and slowly rising, thus the council moved. Monarch of nations, whose superior sway assembled states and lords of earth obey, the laws and scepters to thy hand are given, and millions own the care of thee and heaven. O king, the counsel of my age attend. With thee my cares begin, with thee must end. Thee, prince, it fits alike to speak and hear, pronounce with judgment, with regard give ear, to see no wholesome motion be withstood, and ratify the best for public good. Nor, though a meaner give advice, repine, but follow it, and make the wisdom thine. Hear then a thought, not now conceived in haste, at once my present judgment and my past. When from Pelides' tent you forced the maid, I first opposed, and faithful durst dissuade. But bold of soul, when headlong fury fired, you wronged the man, by men and God admired. Now seek some means his fatal wrath to end, with prayers to move him, or with gifts to bend.